Warm greetings from my side. This is Group 13, and I'm Gurpreet Paul, roll number 22P210, and I'll be sharing the presentation with.
I'm Suryanivas, 22P127.
And today, we are going to be talking about the role of MSMEs in Indian industries. Warren Buffett once said that small businesses are where superstars of tomorrow get their start. Today, in this presentation, we will dive deep into the world of MSMEs, where superstars are not just the future, but the present. Before I start the presentation, I would like to thank Professor Radhika for giving me this opportunity to go over very interesting readings. The topic was not only interesting, but was very near to my heart because my father is running an MSME in Delhi. This MSME, which he is running for the last 30 years, manufactures clamping tools. And I have seen in my upbringing how, on a personal level, the importance of MSME. So I realized the importance of this topic, and it was a very interesting assignment to just go over the policy decisions and the policy decisions and the framework which allowed my father's business to flourish. So thank you so much, ma'am. I'll be starting with the second slide of introduction. Now, the term MSME stands for micro, small, and medium enterprises. This term was coined in 2006 and is fairly new. Prior to 2006, it was called small scale industries, but it was the enactment of the Small Medium Enterprises Development Act in 2006, which actually refined and expanded the scope of these enterprises by taking into account both manufacturing and service sectors. It was only at this time when in official communication from the government, the term MSME was used. A layman's definition of MSME are basically businesses where personal and revenue numbers fall below a certain limit. This term is not only used in India, but it is also used by World Bank, EU, United Nations, and the World Trade Organization. In any given economy like ours, normally MSME outnumber the large companies by a wide margin. As we can see in the numbers, the number of enterprises in India of MSMEs is around 63.4 million, which employ roughly around 120 million, which accounts for 40% of the workforce. The next slides will be handled by Surya. Surya?
I'm going to talk about the definition and classification of MSMEs. As Gurpreet has pointed out, MSME stands for micro, small, and medium enterprises. It is classified based on two parameters. The number one parameter is about the investment, and the number two parameter is about the annual turnover. If the investment is not more than 1 crore and the annual turnover is not more than 5 crores, it's called a micro industry. If the investment is not more than 10 crores and the annual turnover is not more than 50 crores, it's called a small scale industry. If the investment is not more than 50 crores and the annual turnover is not more than 250 crores, it's called a medium scale industries. And these data were taken from the website of Ministry of MSME, Government of India, which was released on a parliamentary question session by the ministry. And the contributions of MSME to the Indian economy will be carried out by Gurpreet. Gurpreet?
In this slide, I'll be going over the contributions of the MSME sector. In terms of the economic growth, around 30% of India's GDP is accounted by the MSME sector. In terms of manufacturing, around 40% of the total manufacturing output. And if we consider exports, 45% of India's total exports are accounted just by the contributions of the MSME sector. As I had already covered in the previous slides, the number of enterprises and the employment are also in huge numbers by the MSME sector. Another aspect which I will be dealing with is the socio-economic aspect. Now, MSME sectors not only are uplifting the society, but an example which is very near to us is the example of Arunachalam, who is a recipient of Padma Shri in the year 2016 and was also featured in the Time magazine of 100 most influential people. It was his efforts and his inspiring story which was depicted in the movie Bad Man by the actor Akshay Kumar. Now the next slide will be dealt by Surya.
In this slide, I'll be talking about the challenges faced by Indian MSME industry. I'll be talking about the major challenges. There are many challenges, but these are the major challenges which are faced by the Indian MSME industry. First one is skilled manpower. Despite being the youngest country and having a lot of people in our workforce, we lack in skilled manpower, especially in the acute area of MSME, as there is a stigma attached to low skilled jobs compared to the white collar jobs in India. And the second problem is lack of finance. There is a lack of collateral or credit history from the business owners of MSME, so that all the banks are not willing to finance the MSME industry. And this challenge has been addressed by the government now, as there are a lot of initiatives from the central government to make sure that all the people from MSME get their funding despite of their credit history. And the third challenge is technology. They are not technologically innovative. The industry of MSME majorly relies on manual labor and outdated machinery because they have the lack of finance, so that they can't really invest in the technological developments and have some innovative solutions out there. And the fourth challenge is market access. Although India is a large domestic market, accessing it can be very difficult for small and newer firms, because they need to be competitive with the large firms out there. So that these are the challenges which are being faced by the MSME industry.
Thank you so much, Surya. In the sixth slide, I'll be dealing with the future outlook of the MSME sector. The first aspect which I'll be dealing with is the technological adoption. Now, the rise of Industry 4.0 is a trend which will encourage MSME sector to integrate advanced technologies like 3D printing, robotics, IoT into their operations, which increases their competitiveness and the flexibility. Second point, which will majorly impact in terms of technology, is the role of artificial intelligence and machine learning. These technologies are expected to play a significant role in automation tasks, enhancing decision making, and optimizing operations in MSMEs. The second point which I'll be dealing with is the government initiatives. The focus on ease of doing business is one of the ways that the present government is trying to simplify regulations and reduce the compliance burden for MSMEs, improving their operational environment. The second initiative taken by the government is for the increased access to finances. Various schemes and initiatives are being launched, as we had talked about in our report, which facilitate the access to credit and financial resources for MSMEs, addressing the capital needs for growth and expansion. The third point in terms of government initiatives is the skill development programs. So there's a genuine push from the government where many institutions which are backed by the government have come up with initiatives which are focusing on the upskilling the MSME workforce, equipping them with the necessary skills to thrive in the evolving business landscape. The third point which I'll be dealing with is growing demand for local products. In this, the specific initiative which the government have come up with is the Make in India campaign. This initiative promotes domestic manufacturing and encourages consumers to buy locally made products, creating a favorable environment for MSMEs. The second initiative is Vocal for Local, which is something which the present Prime Minister has said often in his Man Ki Charcha radio podcast. This campaign, which was introduced by the Prime Minister, encourages consumers to support local businesses and MSMEs, boosting their sales and market shares. Another aspect which I'm going to be dealing with is the global expansion. There are various free trade agreements with various countries opening doors for Indian MSMEs to export their product and services to international markets. One of the recent trade agreements are by UK, where India is in diplomatic agreements with UK after the Brexit deal, where
It's 10 o'clock.
where certain trade agreements are trying to be pushed by the Indian government to ease on the trade tariffs and other regulatory taxes to reduce the burden on MSMEs. The second point in the global expansion topic, which I want to talk about, is the focus on niche markets. MSMEs can leverage their agility and flexibility to specialize in niche markets and cater to specific customer demands worldwide, like sustainability and green practices. Overall, the future for MSMEs in India is optimistic and driven by technological advancements in the near future. The next slide, which is the seventh slide, will be shared by both me and Surya, where we are going to conclude our presentation. Now, the lifeblood of the Indian economy is MSMEs, as was called by our Finance Minister, Shri Nirmala Sitharaman, who referred to MSMEs as the backbone of the Indian economy. MSMEs contribute significantly to India's GDP, exports, job creation, and driving progress in the entire nation.
As we have seen, the classification of MSMEs are broadly based on investment in plant equipment and machinery and annual turnover.
MSMEs in general are having a bright future, and we can see that this bright future looking forward, their progress will be driven by technology, relevant policy making, and in general a global embrace of the Indian products.
And there are various challenges Indian MSMEs are facing, like what we have seen previously, like skilled manpower, lack of finance, technology, and market access.
And with that, we are going to conclude our presentation. It was really nice experience to be working over this, and I hope Professor Radhika, you would have thoroughly enjoyed this presentation of ours, and you would have got to learn something new about MSMEs which you had not known prior to this presentation by us. The next slide goes over a few references which we had referred to throughout the course of preparing this presentation. Thank you so much and have a good day.